welcome to Is This Justice? We back at it. Today, like I said, I want to get into just specifically my case, the beginning stages, and just the first signs that stuff wasn't right, and basically getting on that. So, um, basically, I caught this case, beginning stages of going through the court process. One of the first things you're going to do is you're going to go to arraignment. I went to arraignment, told me what I was charged with, all that, boom. Then after arraignment, you're going to go get housed, whatever, and then you go and you eventually speak to your lawyer, your attorney. So basically the first meeting I had, the first attorney visit that I had, my attorney come up there, and she was on video. They called me in the room to talk to her over video, and I came in with the mentality of I don't want to waste nobody's time. I don't want to go through this whole little situation. At the end of the day, look, check this out. I know what it is. I know what's going on, and what type of time is we talking about? Cause I'm willing to. I know how it go. I know y'all gonna double me up because I got a strike already. So I know what this crime is. It was supposed to be discharging a firearm into an occupied dwelling, vehicle, or aircraft. Right? Just had the same charge. Just went through the same thing. So like I said, I pretty much knew what I was up against. So I was wrong. And which honestly I probably wasn't wrong, but I just wasn't too familiar with the laws, and I had to go with what I was being told. So basically, when I approached her with that, and I break that down to her like that, she looked at me like what is you talking about? Like, this is a life case. I'm like, what? A life case? Like, where? When? How? What? I know what took place. What life? Like, what are you talking about? This is my second strike. If y'all gonna hit me with a strike, I only got one strike already. So where in this is life coming into play? And she, I don't know her exact words, but basically how she broke it down was, if I'm not mistaken, I already had a super strike, whatever that is, or they gave me my second strike is super strike. However it was, she spoke on something about the strike in my past case, and then she like, basically you are potentially looking at life. How am I potentially looking at life? And she didn't break that down first in that initial meeting. So basically, she said life. So at that point in time, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I don't understand that, but all right. So, moving forward. So now I'm in my head going, okay, fuck, I'm facing life. What do I do now? Now I'm thinking about the next best case scenario as far as beating the life. So with that, I'm like, how much time am I really willing to do? Because like I said, initially I was like, I know I'm gonna do some time. It is what it is, and I don't want to waste nobody's time. Just give me my time and let me go ahead and get this journey started. So when I found out that wasn't the case, like I said, my next thing was, okay, boom, how much time am I really willing to do? So at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm 26. I just got out, considering my family, my kids, whatever, everything else. I'm like, man, like I ain't trying to do too long. So, you know what? I'm thinking like maybe like a good 10 piece, a good somewhere around there. So long story short, the court process started, and they give me this. She give me this paper. She come in because she, pushing this life shit. She come in. She showed me this paper with, and I got the paper. I show it to y'all. I put it on there, but long story short, she showed me this paper with all these charges on it. I mean, it's charges from the top to the bottom of the page. I ain't gonna lie. I think it was some on the back too, but yeah, it was all these charges on it, and it's like at the top it said 187 point or something 186 something and life, the time what the time your whole life, and then it was like times whoop de whoop and for this penal code such and such and such and such 7-5 and whoop de whoop, and it just had all this time. Yeah, so long story short, like I said, this paper, it got like basically all this time laid out, broke down with all these different charges and enhancements and all this stuff, and then they got all the different terms, and then on the side of that they got times two, times three, times four, times one, times two, times three. So basically, when it's all said and done, I'm adding all this shit up. I'm like, damn. I'm like, that's a million years. You feel me? Like, and I'm just still sitting here baffled, like, what the fuck? I'm like, man, you would have thought I went on a killing spree and knocked down probably like, 10 enemigos and five, innocent people. And I'm like, where does this come into play? So she come with the, oh, don't worry about that. We gonna go for the self-defense and we'll do it. But I'm thinking in my head, like, self-defense, like, if I'm not mistaken, ain't no self-defense law in California, so uh basically I tell her, like, you know what, you know, I'm I'm pretty sure that based on how the streets go, these dudes is not gonna show up to court. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if they don't show up to court, what is the possibilities, for my outcome, or of the outcome of this situation? And basically, she like, oh, well, she said, I'm not gonna ask you how you know that, but if if they don't come to court, then this is gonna get dismissed. You know, they might refile on you, but if they don't come to court again, it's gonna get dismissed, and we'll do this, and that, right? So I'm like, all right, whatever. So now that's in my head. So now I'm thinking, like, okay, boom. So I gotta focus on, this dismissal, and hopefully and hoping that these dudes don't come to court. You know what I'm saying? Because, just in my mind, I'm like, man, these gang members we talking about. One of these dudes is supposed to be an OG, which the crazy part about it, he was the main one that told, put my name right there, pulled the police. He volunteered this information for no apparent reason. I have no clue what got into this man's head to where he felt like he had to pull these police to the side. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm not finna, I didn't let it go. It's over with. I'm not really, I'm past that. I'm focused on the future, but I'm not finna sit up here and give him no passes. You know, this dude right here, he go by the name of Big Snap. From VNG, Van Ass Gangsta Bloods. You feel me? Or Brims, whatever they, whatever. But long story short, he like 50 some years old. He like 50 some years old. And somehow, some way, which I believe, certain people gave him information that they shouldn't have, to where which led to him knowing who was involved in this situation with the younger dude that went to go get him, the younger dude from Hoover, which I don't, I just know his real name based on the paperwork. But the old dude, yeah, yeah, he basically say it's a Cornell Tisdale pulled Officer Wooty Woot, I think it was Tafoya or whoever it was, to the side and said, I know who did this. It was Luke, and his other name is Snowman from 40s and Whoop Whoop, or they call him Little Snow, and such, and basically just gave him this host. So in my head, I'm like, at this time, I don't know that though. At this time, I haven't got my discovery. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing about nobody telling on me. All I know is, uh, these are supposed to be gang members that I'm dealing with, and mind you, I had, after the situation, I'm at my homie house, and the same older dude come pick my other homie up. You feel me? The homie sick, and he come pick the other homie up and take him on a little, I don't know what it was. I guess it was a little tour and a talk. I don't know what it was. And then on top of that, it was already strange because it's like instead of coming to holler at me, you went and hollered at the homie. You feel me? And I'm sitting right there when you picked the homie up. You feel me? And in my head, I wasn't registering, which I was slipping. I wasn't registering that this is the same car that was, because I never really, tell you the truth, I never really seen the car in the midst of the situation because it was parked somewhere. And so, yeah, that's the reason being I didn't see. But long story short, getting back on topic, uh, I'm thinking these dudes is gonna be solid, and they not gonna, play that game and whatever. So at the end of the day, that wasn't the case, So um, I'm banking on back to that. I'm banking on the fact that all right, boom, um, they not finna show up, cause this is some street, stuff, this ain't, so at the end of the day, I'm like, they not gonna show up. So, uh, moving forward, I go to preliminary, and, let's just say I'm being, I'm being, uh, I'm being told that, you know, not to worry. Everything is good. So I go to preliminary. Long story short, my public defender, she telling me like, oh yeah, they not able to find them, but they kind of know where they at, and they refusing, but they putting a subpoena out for them, and this and that. Um, and long story short, she's telling me basically to prepare myself and to consider, uh, you know, doing some time. You feel me? And a decent amount of time. So I'm like, I'm not doing none of that. I'm going home. These people not finna show up. So long story short, fast forward, I'm at preliminary. Um, at preliminary, let's get into that. At preliminary, I got the police getting on the stand, lying on the stand under oath, talking about, yeah, I know Mr. Luke. Uh, Long story short, I had several encounters with him in the neighborhood. I'm looking at the police like, man, I ain't never met you in my life. I know what police I deal with. I know what police then blurt me up. I know what police, that know me. You know what I'm saying? You don't know me, and they looking at me, they mean mugging me, they like, they looking at me crazy, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like and I got all the paperwork. I did, the transcripts and everything. They just coming up with all type of lies, saying they know me, and so then the other ones getting up there and they're, oh, they saying basically they know me through reading a report. This was the other police said, like, oh, I've came to know Mr. Luke through reading a report. Like, how do you come to know somebody through reading a report? That don't make no sense to me. Either you know somebody or you don't. You can't get to know somebody through reading a paper. I'm not, yeah. But anyway, long story short, they get on the stand. They lie, they lie, they lie. So based on all them police testimony and they lies and one witness that lied, dude that was working at the store at the time. One minute he said he heard the shots. One minute he said he didn't hear this. I mean, one minute he said he only heard the shots. The next minute he say, oh, he saw who was shooting. Then he said he didn't see who was shooting. He was in the store. His testimony was shaky. His testimony didn't make no sense. But long story short, the end result was the judge like, cool, that's all we needed. Bounded me over, boom. Because basically, if they don't bound you over, it's, they gotta let it go. They gotta. But the actual victim and the actual witness, the boy Cornell Tisdale, the boy Snap from VNG, they didn't show up. They didn't show up. So long story short, um, you know, that's what they bounded me over based on the report, the report where the boy said what he said, the evidence and the police testimony. They bounded me over. So long story short, boom, they bound me over, and I start the court process, going back and forth to court and whatever. Long story short, they this public defender, she really, like I say, Sandra DeJulio, I'll never forget this lady, because thinking back, she really played a game that was the coldest game ever. Because for one, she kept on telling me about these personal things in this district attorney's life. Oh, she got a baby shower. Oh, she, she's having lunch right now. I'm gonna meet her at lunch, and basically all this, like, and honestly, me being naive and me not being on point, me, I'm not paying attention to the fact that these people have a relationship. These people are cool. Her and this lady is cool. This regardless of the fact, um, y'all are in control of my life. You have my life. You fighting for my life, and she's fighting to end my life, basically. To change my life, or whatever you want to call it, but for the worse. And you telling me that y'all go sit and have lunch and chill, and you going to her baby shower, and all this other stuff, and I'm like, this is crazy. So long story short, that was that. And like I say, the whole time she's trying to convince me that basically, like, you finna do some time, and you gotta consider this and consider that, and whoop. So boom, I get my fast forward, I go all the ways to whatever it was, and I get a dismissal. I get a dismissal. Um, I get the dismissal. They refile on me that same day. And mind you, another thing, I'm trying to use the mental health situation. I got mental health paper trail from the streets. So I'm trying to, and they got this program called the diversion program. So with the diversion program, basically, it don't matter what crime you do. If you can prove that mental health has something to do with it, and basically you wasn't on your meds when you committed your crime, and all these different factors, that they put you in a diversion program, which I believe is like 2 years or something like that. Like I said, no matter what you do, you can go to this diversion program, get 2 years, get out, and then all you got, you go to a mental health hospital for like 2 years. You get out if you within 2 years show that you good, basically. So what? Yeah, run that fast. But I'm telling her, we pushing the mental health thing, we pushing this, like, at the same time as this other situation. I just want everything on my basically I want everything on my side, to contribute to me getting the hell out. So long story short, boom. She tell me one day, when I tell her, like, oh yeah, like, why we not talking about the mental health situation? Like, why we not pushing that? She go, oh, cause we not finna play that game. And so I'm like, what? I'm like, what you mean? I'm like, that's your job to play that game. That's your job to use any weapon that you have in your arsenal in order to beat this situation, or for this situation to go in my favor. So long story short, that wasn't the case. Long story short, she didn't want to take that route. At the time, I didn't know how to fire my lawyer. I'm like, I can't just tell her, like, oh, you fired. I never hired her in the first place. You feel me? I don't know what paperwork to file. I didn't know nothing. So, and dudes is telling me, like, oh, you got to go in there and spit on her, or you got to go in there and when you get in court, stand up and say, and call her a bitch and whoopty whoop and tell her fuck you and go up on her basically, so that way it's a conflict of interest and this and that. They gonna fire and give you a state appointed. So I'm like, yeah. In my head, I'm like, I'm not finna do all that. That's like, that's the whole next some next level shit. I'm not finna do that. So then I got other dudes talking about, oh yeah, you gotta, you want the mental health to work, you gotta go in there and you gotta have a Snicker, in your pants, and you gotta, pull, the chocolate, you gotta mush the chocolate up in your hand and then lick your hands in the middle of court. Like, what? Like, I'm not finna do that either. Like, you sound crazy as a motherfucker. And at the end of the day, um, that's not even possible anyway. You chained up, when you sitting in that seat, you chained up. So I'm like, that don't even make no sense. I don't even know, where you got that from, but all right, whatever. So long story short, uh, at this point in time, like I said, I got the dismissal. They refiled on me, and now I go 0 to 60. I go 0 to 60 speedy trial. Basically, they got 60 days to do their job, or they gotta dismiss it again. They gotta let me go. So boom, we go 0 to 60. We go 0 to 60, and this whole time they still trying to get the boy, and she keep coming in there, and she playing. One minute she playing like she for me, then the next minute she coming in there talking about, oh, oh, they gonna get him, and just basically being negative as well. And I'm like, man, who, and trying to basically, she's, pushing for me to take like this gang of time they're trying to offer. I think my first deal was like 18 years or something like that. My first deal was like 18 years. And now, honestly, I'll be like, damn, I should have took that 18. You know what I'm saying? But my first deal was 18 years. And long story short, like I say, boom, she trying to convince me to take the time and this, and that. And I'm like, no, because, we finna do this. We finna take this route because I just already got one dismissal. I'm finna get another one, and then that's it, right? So she keep telling me, yeah. Next thing you know, come, towards the end of the 60 days that they, and, she hit me with, oh, more than likely you're going to get another dismissal, but with this next dismissal, they're going to have another chance based on special circumstances to refile on you. So I'm like, well, damn, where is this coming from? And long story short, she break that down to me, and I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. So now I'm defeated, but like I say, stay tuned. I'm gonna give you the rest of the whole, breakdown of the situation with me. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff, man. And y'all be careful out there, and God bless.